All right, all marriages are complicated, but few are quite as complicated as Brendan and Christine Banfield's was. Many marriages end in divorce, but very few end in a pool of blood, as the Banfields did. A Virginia jury got a glimpse into this twisted and tragic relationship today when Brendan took the stand to testify in his own defense. He's accused of killing his wife, Christine, and another man, all with the help of his live-in au pair turned lover. Though today, under oath, he insisted the allegation is, in his words, quote, absolutely crazy. Banfield and the defense began by painting a picture of the perfect American family. He said he and Christine were together for more than 19 years. They had a daughter, now 7 years old. Banfield said the family welcomed their Brazilian au pair, Juliana Perez Magalhães, with open arms. All was well for about a year until a fateful conversation between Juliana and Brendan on the topic of dating.
Juliana showed me quite a few screenshots of her dating app. I believe it was Hinge, and the people that were in the Hinge app all had similar names to me. Their names were Brendan and Brandon and Brennan, and these were people that she had matched with on the app.
Okay. The two soon became lovers, and Banfield had some secrets to share, too. He said he told Magalhães he'd had previous affairs before her and that his wife knew of at least 2 of them. She'd even had, he said, some of her own. But Banfield told the jury that while he was willing to commit adultery, he was not willing to commit homicide.
I think that it's an absurd line of questioning for something that is not serious, that a plan was made to get rid of my wife. That is absolutely crazy.
Meanwhile, hours before Banfield took the stand, the court released body camera video showing the moment a nurse told Banfield that his wife was dead. Watch.
My name is Gina. I'm one of the doctors here. Your wife has died. I think that she died of blood loss. Her airway was actually okay. I'll call the medical examiner, of course, and we'll do an autopsy and make sure we know for certain. But
I was trying to apply pressure.
Yeah. I mean, those were enormous wounds, and you know, it's not.
There were so many.
Yes, and the neck is not compressible, so it's not possible really to stop all the blood loss. And her airway seems like was in the midline okay. She was able to be intubated. Everything that was possible to be done was done for her right away. Did you get hurt, sir?
I think so.
All right, what do we make of all this? Let's break it down with Jesse Weber, host of Jesse Weber Live right here on NewsNation. Either he is innocent or he's a remarkable actor in that body cam footage.
It's all going to be up to the jury to determine if they believe him in that footage and if they believe him on the stand. Now,
it's extraordinary that he took the stand. By the way, this is so unusual for somebody on trial to take the stand in their own defense, because today was pretty easy. His own lawyers were asking the questions. Tomorrow, perhaps, he faces the prosecutor. Cross-examination is going to be brutal.
There's a reason that lawyers advise their clients don't take the stand. Now, look, today wasn't bombshell. He said everything we thought he was going to say. I love my wife. I love my daughter. Yeah, I had this affair. He seemed to kind of put the impetus on her. She was the one who came on to me. Oh, my gosh, all the people that she's looking at online seem to have a variation of my name, as one would have. Now, look, am I being cynical? I don't know. Look, it is going to come down to the event in question. What happened? You know, this idea that his wife was having an affair and this guy, Ryan, was the one who killed her. It's a very disturbing case. And normally I would say when he took the stand and said, my gosh, this allegation's crazy, I would say, yeah, I can't imagine myself. But what happened today? What's happened in the last several weeks? There was forensic testimony that the body of one of the victims looked like it was moved and manipulated. You had all this digital evidence, this FetLife website, right? The idea...
Explain what that is, because this was not just a let's go kill my wife plot. This was a very carefully, if true, the allegations are that this was a very carefully orchestrated plot.
Elaborate, right?
Elaborate.
The idea is that what they did is they took Christine's phone, they signed her onto a fetish website, got her to link up with the other gentleman in this case, the other victim, lured him to the house under the lured him to the house, and then killed them both and made it look like, oh my gosh, something happened between them. There was a violent encounter. He was attacking her. He steps in. Now, the problem is the digital evidence, the actual devices, they won't tell you necessarily who's been using them. But the problem is when you look at the Telegram messages, there's kind of non-native English speaking, so you would say, doesn't that look more like the au pair making those messages? Or when Christine allegedly signed on to the FetLife website, they were at very specific moments and also specific moments when she wasn't on. Did you know that she didn't happen to sign on to that when he and the au pair were out of state? Now, if you're having an affair, if he's out of state, wouldn't that be the prime time to go on to a FetLife website and have an affair? So you couple all that together, the jury might be looking at him very skeptically, but look, if he comes out and he's believable and he goes, I'm being falsely accused right now. By the way, they've been trying to really tear into the credibility of this au pair who testified against him, because not only
was working?
Well, she was charged with murder, then it was downgraded with manslaughter. They said she has mental health issues. She was apparently trying to pen her story to true crime producers. She didn't remember key details of this about who sent what message or where.
Oh my gosh.
I can't speak for the jury. It's definitely an interesting development, and we'll see what happens when he's cross-examined.
What do you think the prosecutors are going to ask on? What are they going to hone in on?
Every single inconsistency, every single aspect of this, and they are going to break down piece by piece, detail by detail of what happened when he went into that house. And I have seen this time and again, that if, let's say, he's not telling the truth, no one is smart enough to remember all the lies that they tell. Now, again, he's innocent until proven guilty. I will be curious to see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jesse Weber, thanks so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.